Okay, Sunday, November 12th, part 2. All right, so yeah, we'll finish up Teacups today. So 4 weeks of Teacups, and then that'll take us through Thanksgiving and all kinds of breaks. All right, so yeah, just to review the Teacups, right? It's just rising and come through the back, and you want to make sure you gently rub and stimulate the rib cage, so the inside and back. So just forward and back. Right? So back movement, and just drop the hands, right? And keep the palms open, and then rising movement. So rising and spinning outwards and scooping. And doing two hands always reminds me of swimming, and like breaststroke or something, pulling through the water. Okay? And when you do the rising, you can imagine leading with the fingertips pulling you along, right? And coming down, that scooping and gathering, right? And then that settling, right? And then that back of letting go, and then coming up and circling, right? Rounding, and from the elbow through the tip of the pinky, right? Rubbing against the body, and just let the hands drop. Just let the hands fall. Don't stress the joints. Right? So you can do one side. When you start practicing one side, that's when you really start practicing letting your body turn. So turn, turn, turn. Right? And as you turn, that's going to open the joint and push your hand out. Right? And drop down as you turn, then it's going to fold and close the joint. You just let the hand drop. As you turn, it's going to swing the hand forward and rotate the palm, fold in, right? And turn and open. Okay, so you can make the circle small. Just make it small and relaxed. And then slowly the circle can get bigger and bigger, right? And bigger. And when it gets really big, you can stretch the hand. We did this last week. You can stretch. And so as you turn, you just stretch, and then drop your shoulder blade and fold in, and take a deep breath and blow against the hand. And come out. Right, so breathing in, and then really blowing. Right, blowing, and then you're gonna feel the abdomen's working. Right, so we did that last week. And you want to purse the lips so you create that pressure, and that you can really feel the abdomen squeezing. Right? So you can bring in abdomen work in the Teacups. Okay? And then we talked about how the Teacups are related to that single whip, as we reviewed the single whip, right, to develop the wrist and the forearm, and right in here in the fingers, how that's related to, we can add that circling, right? So that circling, right, going down and coming up, or reversing, right? And that's really the Teacup, right? So as we do that and involve the whole arm, that's the Teacup. So that little circle over there is part of the Teacup movement. From here, right? That little circle coming down, right? And down. Okay? Or coming out. Right? That's the Teacup movement. Right? So doing this just kind of breaks apart just that single, right? Isolating around the wrist and the palms and the fingers and the forearms. But you can see how that movement is in the larger. So you can take this, right, and you can add that movement, really emphasize that kind of tight circles, right? And at any point you can create that spiral at one finger at a time. And then we could add the fist in. So coming down, we could add the fist and squeeze, and then one finger at a time, right? Spiraling, right? Fist, squeeze, one finger at a time. Yeah. So this is just kind of a review of the last 3 weeks, and showing the relationship of all these movements, right? And then coming up, same thing, coming up right? And spiraling one finger at a time and making that fist and squeezing. Right? That's still the teacup. All we're doing is changing what we do with the palm. Yeah? Coming up, spiraling, fist, and open, teacup, right? Spiraling and fist, and tuck the elbows and open, and here. So it's almost like a double move that you could just, right, make it singular doing that one movement from there. Okay? So just kind of a review of all of that. And then you can, right, instead of a fist, it could be that single whip kind of movement, right? Right. If we come back, right here, we close, bring the fingers together, right, and then the single whip, right, and then open, come back, turn, and then right here, spiral and the single whip, right, pull, drawing up, and then releasing the teacup and back, and then right here, the single whip, right, fingers together, pulling. So we can do right hand, left hand from there, and let's see. So that's drawing back, but rising, right? So rising with the single whip, right, would be here, right? Coming up, fingers together, right? And then opening. Right? Then it would open, fingers together, and then open. Yeah, so turn, fingers together, and that you think of the hula, right? That's the hula, right? The flower movement. Yeah, and you can see you come back, you can really spiral. Right? Can reach with the pinky first, right, and spiral and come through like that. Right? So you can add that kind of spiraling, right? Could turn into fist, could turn into the single whip, right? Or it could just be open palm rotating the whole time from there. And that's the variations. But no matter what you do, it's either rising or it's going back, falling. So anytime you get confused, just remember, wait, rising and falling, right? And then one makes it confusing. Oh, you're just changing the palm, right? You're just doing something different with the palm. Or maybe you just made one circle, right? You didn't have the 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe you just had 1, 2, right? And you're just repeating 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, that kind of thing. And then that throws the whole thing off for you, right? The structure. So once you get the rising, it's just rising and falling, and you can go back and forth through them. Then that helps to kind of simplify it in your mind, right? You identify those two things. Okay, so and then we talked about holding objects. Yeah. So if you wanted, starting off with something light, a fan, and just grab one of these fans, yeah, and one hand, doesn't matter which hand, right, and just light grip, right, loose, light grip, right, turning, and turning, right. So as I come through over here, you can imagine like hooking, right, hooking with, this is catching something, right, and this is hooking something, and hooking, so it's really scooping with the object you're holding now. And then you can practice just passing it to the other hand, back and forth. When you hold the object, especially long sticks and things, that really shows you have to turn. Right? If you don't turn, you're going to start hitting yourself with that object. So back and then rising. Right? So just constantly practicing rising and falling. Right? Rising, then falling. And then same thing, passing. You can just pass it from one hand to the other. And anytime you can add the stepping. So even if you just step forward, right, and shift, you could just step forward and shift, rocking back and forth and trying to let the body turn same time, right? And you could just walk in place and seeing how the body, how the leg and the hand work together. Yeah, and just switching. Right? So from stationary, slowly adding the feet. Right? And just stepping back and forth first. Right? Just taking your time switching. If you get mixed up, just stop and reset. Right? And then that walking in circles. So when you pick up the feet and you're turning, right? Everything turns, and then just walking in that circle. Right? You could just do one leg first and just keep stepping. Right? So this hand starts leading you into that circle, right? And leading you into that circle. So teacups teacups helps you to turn, right? Because you're turning the body, and the hand and leg work together, right? So you turn. So it rises and it turns, and then you just kind of holding that. You don't really have to finish the teacup until the end, right? You could just hold it and then turn, right? And then same thing from here, right? You could turn and turn, right? So whichever way the hand is going, right? The body's going to turn. You could walk in that direction. If the hand is going this way, right, then you can pick up and walk in that direction. Yeah, from there. So just slowly adding one piece at a time. And then we talked about adding, right, holding a weight. So when you start adding weights, it becomes physical therapy, yeah. But turning and tucking. And when you start adding the resistance, if you lift your shoulder up too much all the time, you don't let it drop, you're going to really feel that ache. So that's going to help you to teach that, you have to drop the shoulder, keep the elbows down, and both hands. And it's the same drills, right? And hold loose, right? Don't choke the object. And you can just do the drills, right? So many times one hand in one direction, so many times the other hand in the other direction, and just back and forth. Yeah, these movements are really good for the shoulder. They're really nice. And you just adjust the weight, how much you can hold, and it's comfortable. But you'd be surprised by just doing this teacup motion with the weight, how much development in the shoulder area that it can really help. So that includes the deltoid area, but this whole shoulder. If you have a little bit of pain in the shoulder, sometimes, right, this is what it needs, that little exercise, that movement, that strengthening, right? Nothing too extreme from here. So these dumbbells are excellent, right? Or you could hold a ball. And a lot of people have kettlebells. Kettlebells is fun, but it's a little bit more challenging because the weight comes outside. Yeah? So you can feel inside having to make that change. Right? If you don't have a kettlebell, you want to experience that, right? Where the body has to adjust. You take your dumbbell. I'll use this one just because it's larger, so you can see it. But if I hold it here, right? If you hold the dumbbell on one end, right, then you have that imbalance, right? It's not nicely centered. So as you're going through, you can feel how that weight shift, right? In certain places, it's easier. Certain places, like right here, it adds that level of stress on. So you can feel the body has to make those adjustments. Yeah. And this is certain cultures, they show you those exercises. Now they're formal exercises, but basically it's a long stick and a weight on the end, like a cannonball on the end, right? And they're swinging it, and they're doing all kinds of things that they're swinging that around. It's really a lot of development. So it's kind of that same idea where that weight is off-centered. Yeah. So you can feel the difference from holding it nice and right in the center, right, as opposed to holding it on the end and then it's off-centered. So, and you can use water bottles or whatever you want with that. Okay. So if you have that feeling of doing the teacups, but if you have something long, if you have a sword, yeah, or you just have a long stick. Oh, I should have pulled this out earlier. I didn't think about that earlier. We haven't done sword things for a long time. I don't know where. Oh, they're way in the back. Oh, here, right. PVC pipes are wonderful. 3/4 inch PVC pipes. They're so cheap and easy to cut. You can put joints on the end, right? So, and then you can make different lengths. Yeah. So the same thing, but with a longer pipe, so it starts to become stick or sword. Yeah. And you can see that you have to make the circle a little bit, well, the arm over here, a little bit larger, right, to keep it away. And you have to rise it so it goes over the head, right, and then it sweeps. And so if I turn sideways, right, as I'm turning, it can go over the head. And turn. Right, if I don't turn, then I have to move my hand. But if I turn, I can keep this constant, and that keeps it away from my body. I just rise as I turn. It teacups, right? Come down, teacups, and come down. Right? And then I can pass it to the other hand. But really turn the body, learn to turn the body. And then you realize the hand just kind of goes up and down. Yeah. Other side, so just switching back and forth. So if you have Taichi Sword or something, you can use the Taichi Sword. Yeah, it's fun, and all of a sudden, oh, you have a sword drill just by doing teacups. And you realize, wait a minute, it's just teacups. Yeah. And if you're watching, I let this hand move back and forth, right? So I don't stiffen this joint. Just let the hand flow. So both hands start moving from here. And at any point, just switch hands and just go back and forth, right? And that's only the back movement. The same thing, if you wanted muscle development, you hold something a little heavier. So it could be a wooden stick that's heavier, even metal, depending, right? And then rising, right? So this is back, but then we rise, right? Rise, and then over the head, right? And turn. This is really where you have to have that turn, right? Rising, and turn, so it goes away, and turn. You can see the hand having to turn, doing these rotations from there. Here. Okay. So there's a sword drill that let's see. So the hand holding, so it's my right hand, right leg. My right leg steps back and I come back. Right? And it really is the teacup. When I'm coming back and then turning and come straight down. Right? So instead of, well, if we do the teacup move first, right? It's stepping back. And we just start with the basic teacup, but stepping back and drawing and cutting and coming down and cutting and coming down. Right? So just to show you the teacup. Right? So if I do it with holding the sword, right? It's just the visual, right, of having a sword, right, cutting, right, and cutting. And when you hold the sword, you just start paying more attention to the flat, right, the edge and the flat. You don't want it just spiraling all over the place, but you want it slicing. So because you're holding, right, a blade now, you want to pay attention as you're coming through it slicing, or it's slicing and not at that angle. And so learning how to keep the blade aligned, yeah, that feeling of it. But yeah, just coming down and turning and coming up, right, and just the teacup. And just that feeling like it's slicing. Right? And we can do both hands. And I'm shifting my weight back and forth. So as I draw, right, I sit back and turn, and then I come forward. So now we're adding that movement of coming forward, cutting down. And we talk about sword, but really it's teacups, right? It's teacups. And instead of scooping, I could scoop that way, right? In the way we're doing the teacups, so we would still be cutting. And then I could draw back here, right, depending. But because it's sword, I'm just going to turn it down. And turn, and then so this big spiral comes out, shifting forward, sitting back and turning. And forward, sitting back and turning. Don't forget to fold into this joint and let that joint turn. Okay? And same thing we talked about, part of the mind on the joints, the hip joint, the pelvic joint, and the lower dantian. So thinking of those 2 points, right, and just drawing from here. Okay? So from the front, right, sitting. Oh, let me switch leg. Make sure we do 2 sides. Right, coming forward. Oops. Shifting forward and sitting back and turning, coming forward over the head. Yeah. Oops, I just cut myself. I didn't turn enough. Yeah. And turn sideways. Yes. Same hand. Yes, so you can see the shift coming forward and back. So relaxing the shoulders, letting the elbows drop. Just to show you, I'm picking up the toe, right? And I'm really shifting my weight and turning. Okay, so that's back. And then we have forward, right? So rising, right? So rising and coming back. So if I go side, right? Rising and then have to turn. And then over the head, right? Turning and turning and turning, right? Rising, turning. And when I rise, it really feels like, you imagine you letting the tip of the sword lead you, the tip of the stick, the sword lead you. Turn, turn, right? Rising, turn, turn, turn. So you can really start seeing these big turns and you start going under the hand, right? So you come in here, you're turning it, you're turning under the hand. Right? So right here, you're turning, the sword is going this way, you're turning the opposite way, and then you catch up with each other. That opening from there. It's like dancing. It's like you're holding somebody's hand, right, and you're dancing and you're spinning, right? Your partner's spinning and you're going under that spin from there. We're beating with the tip of the sword, especially when we're rising. Right? And right here, just a small scoop, right? Just that small scoop right here. Shift forward, sit back, turn, shift forward, sit back. Small scoop, right? Small scoops right there. Shift forward and back from there. Okay, so you get confused, you stop every so often and just do the palm. Do the palm and say, oh yeah, it's a teacup, and then you hold the object. Okay. So just show you the relationship. This actual sword drill is stepping back, turning, and then you learn to flip. Right? It's learning how to circle and flip, and it comes straight down. Right? So it comes inside and down, right? Inside and down, or outside and down, right? Outside and down. And you have to relax the palms so it can just drop. It can drop on the outside, or it can just drop on the inside. So it just pivots. It just pivots right around there. So that's those small little hand movements, right? Right? So coming from these kind of movements, right? That now you're just holding something, right? You're holding something and doing the same movement. It becomes holding something. So it sits back, right? It cuts across, and then it cuts straight down, right? And it sit back, teacup, and then spins straight back, yeah? Outside, across, cuts down, outside, back, and cuts down. And then you can add the variation of these hand spins. So cut and then spin, right? So that's spinning movement. So back, right? Just the teacup right here. And before you repeat, just let it drop outside and spin, right? Just twirling the stick or twirling the sword. Back and twirl, one twirl. Yeah, and then there you go, and then back. And then eventually that twirl, right? You don't stop moving in the twirl. So turns, and then as you're sitting back, you can twirl. And then you can add as many of these as you want. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Turn. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Turn. So that's just a nice variation of learning how to do that there. And so again, the foundation is teacups, right? Holding an object. Right? The foundation is teacups, coming out, striking down, coming out, striking down. If you're holding something one, and then you just have that little turn, right? Circle, 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 circle. Like jumping rope. It feels like you're jumping rope, spinning that rope from there. Okay? Or rising, right? Coming out, over, turn. Right? Rising. Especially rising, you can feel how you cannot choke the sword, right? To choke the sword, you really get bound. So that loose grip, comfortable, loose grip. Sitting back, turn, really learn to turn your body. Turn, pull the spine, release the spine, pull the spine, release the spine. So, rising, turn, right? Turning under, turn, and turn. As the body shifts back and forth, right, then you have that spiral, that moving that spiral. Yeah. From there. So really force that turn. So that spiral of the body could really start twisting and spiraling the back too, right here. And you could lead into other, you could join other kinds of exercises, really sitting back and coming out here. Yeah. So it starts joining with the other, what is that, the silk wheeling exercise, right? That kind of thing. So it can expand, get small, large, and just turn into another exercise really easily. Okay. Yeah. But that makes it fun. Right? So you learn the teacups, and you have a sword, a stick, fan, whatever it is, even a ball. You could even see like those whip chains, right? Where they have those metal chains with the links, right? That's a teacup move, yeah, throwing it out or throwing things out. You're going to grab like a chain or a rope. It has a dart on the end, right? And teacup to throw it out, right? Holding the end, and that, right? That would just shoot way up, and then to pull it back, right? That would be the teacup to spin it back in, right? And the whip. So you start to see this teacup movement, and it starts to show up in everything, right? As you're doing it. Okay, let's just warm down. No, 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 not yet, not yet. Just leave it for later. Just leave it for later. Yeah, we're just finishing class. Yeah, yeah, and just do front and back. Yeah, you can just go at your own pace. Just relax, drop your shoulders, nice and loose. Let the body turn. Yeah, you can walk if you want. Yeah, just to relax. Yeah. And then just try that, right? One forward, one back, right? One forward, one back. And let the body turn forward and back. Right? Just to kind of keep that in your head, right? One forward, one back, one forward, one back. Yeah. One forward, one back. Just brushing the body, coming across the body. One forward, one back. One forward, one back. Right? And then if you want, you can finish up the move, right? You could finish up the move, teacup, right? That's going to go back. Teacup, that's going to go that way, right? So one rising teacup, one back teacup, and then just turn the body, teacup, teacup, and back to center. Yeah, and then do two sides. All right, we'll finish with that. We'll end with the bell meditation. We'll see if somebody comes back and sits down. Okay, relax and then slowly expand, but relax all the joints just to get that posture, but relaxed posture. Open the throat, expand the lower belly, relax the facial muscles, but smile from the chest, smile from the heart. Any distractions, acknowledge, and then bring yourself back to your meditation. You slowly rub your hands, slowly open your eyes. Yeah, move your feet around. Okay. Let's see, week and a half and then Thanksgiving, yeah? So 2 more weeks of regular class, in-person class, and registration starts. And right now I'm kind of thinking of maybe we'll take next Sunday off. Thanksgiving weekend, Sunday off. Might need the time just to work off the tryptophan, right? Yeah, stretch, relax, and squeeze, and stretch, and squeeze, and one more time, stretch, and squeeze, and shake it out. Okay. Yeah, breathe in 3 times. Feel yourself let everything go, and then rise a little bit. A gentle compression. Take an extra breath if you need to. Yeah, right hand, left hand. Your right hand, your left hand. All right, thank you. Yeah, have a good Thanksgiving if we don't see you. Enjoy your trip. Thank you, Susie, Janet. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Take care.
So Susie, I think I'm going to commit to that. Let's take the Thanksgiving Sunday off.